right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today for my podcast show, Nichel Anderson, Short Stories and Beyond. Okay, so today marks the episodes that I'm going to review. This is my director clip notes that I would go back and review episodes. I decided last year, my first year of podcasting, to go back and talk about the episodes that I have done to give you more insight, to share my notes thereafter. Because again, as I mentioned, most of these things just come to me. I don't really pre-plan, like have an outline. They just come out when I sit down and I'm ready to talk and focus on MOLIAE. And so that always been the case, even when I wrote the book, Midtown. If you got to get some notes on that, it's just they just come through and I'm able to put it all together, and then when I read back I'm able to really look at it and enjoy it. And so it came to me last year to do these director clips, because that's my opportunity to be able to really, you get to enjoy it, the finished product, but I'm going through it, and with the other projects that I do, I don't get the chance to really come back in a constant way. It's like, for a while I'm off doing something else, to really sit down and really look at what I created and to, enjoy the experience as I hope that you are too. So this particular episode, director clip, and I decided to actually do all the episodes, okay? I think that would be great. Therefore, going forward, anybody can go back and listen to extra notes and extra explanations and details, and I'm talking about the episodes that they listen to or they will go and listen to, and to give them that insight. And most of the time I have noticed when I do my director clips, I'm just talking up a storm and I'm giving you more information that I do not publicize. I do not make that public. And to get it, you basically got to tune in, because they just come out. I'm talking, and then next thing I know, I'm giving you some information. So basically for this episode, for my director clip notes, it will focus on 4 episodes that I did in season 1. I'm trying to do a catch up because I was on summer break during the summer. And the episodes we're going to focus on today is starting from episode 22 to episode 25. So that'll be episode 22, 23, 24, and 25. Usually I do 2 at a time, but I'm trying to catch up because this is a new season. And I don't want to get behind on my director clip notes once I decide I'm going to do this. So let's go ahead and get started today in this episode regarding my director clip notes. The first one we're going to talk about is episode 22. Now, before I do that, I'm going to have to say something, right, about my podcast. It's a premium podcast. I normally release clip snippets of this for those that are just joining me for the first time this week. And you can find the link to my Patron page to get the full short story. So these particular episodes here are basically clippets or what have you, but you do get enough information to understand and to get close to the characters, understand their motive and intention and what's going on to the plot, and then I continue on from there. And this is from my production MOLIAE, which production MOLIAE stands for Moments of Love in Ancient Egypt, which is based on my book Midtown. And you should find a link to the book and to the production itself, the website MOLIAE.com. And going forward, right now the production is in the process of preparing for the prestige return of the MOLIAE stage play. It's a bigger production. It's our third time going back to stage after filming a short film in Repsodes. And so it has involved into this podcast that I love to do. I love to write. That is part of my purpose, and I am enjoying every minute of it. And I'm getting followers from different parts of the world, so I am thrilled about that. All right, so once I got that out the way, and also I want to continue to say, please join MOLIAE. Subscribe to MOLIAE YouTube channel, because at times I do release video clips of my podcast when I'm telling you stories, and you got to see it. It's good. Okay, I'm just going to say it is. It's pretty good. Okay, and it gives you the whole experience, especially on your mobile device. It looks awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with episode 22. This was published, if you want to go back and check this out, episode 2 for season 1. It was published on April the 9th. Okay, it was entitled Ancient Essence from the Nile. Okay, so I'm going to break this up in chunks since I'm going through 4 to not make this podcast long, but to get you the information from my notes. So pretty much this scene came to me because you have to remember, I did not realize, and I have said this before if you have been following this podcast, that Queen Hagar was pregnant into the second episode. Okay, the scene came to me like it did when I wrote the book, and it comes real, the flashes come real strong, and it continued to repeat itself until I am forced to sit down and write it. And so the next time I sat down and wrote it is when I was like, gosh, she's pregnant. I could see it, I could feel it. And her mother is on the scene in this episode 22. Ancient essence from the Nile heals our room. So her mother, which is Queen Mother Mana, she was not in my book, Midtown. She didn't come through. Again, it was just, of course, in the realm Princess Amina, and that time that we are not dealing her time. Now we are dealing in the time before the time of Princess Amina, and so she's pregnant right now. Princess Hannah, Princess Amina's older sister, is on the scene. Okay, she's a young girl, about 7 or 8. Queen Hagar is pregnant now. At that time, I don't reveal if it's actually Princess Amina, because in the book, remember, so had a son. Queen Hagar, King Milan had a son. Okay, and he has not been in any of the theatrical productions either, along with Queen Mother Mana, the mother of Queen Hagar. And so she turns with Tahib, okay, her husband, and Tahib, we call him Grandfather Tahib in my book, Mitzrayim, is the father of Queen Hagar. And they arrive in Mitzrayim to give Queen Hagar support, because in the second episode we find out that it is Mitzrayim that she leaves the grand royal Sati room where she was talking to Natu and made her statement, and she went to go to the other part of the palace. And then the second episode or what have you find out at the end that she's pregnant. And so there are these two strong women talking and helping one another. The Queen Mother Mana want to help Queen Hagar because she knows and she feels strongly that her daughter is hurting over these Orions and the tribal leaders that almost severely damaged King Milan. Okay, it was a war that these flashes came in to start this podcast and start this story before Princess Amina was on the scene. And so in the ancient essence of the Nile, we have these two women that are spending time together, and it's Queen Mother Mana that says pretty much to Queen Hagar, I'm here for you, let's talk this out. And I know it's more that's holding you back, because I say this in my other podcast, Surviving Your Journey to Success. Emotional pain comes up when it's time, and I think Queen Mother Mana was there for her daughter to say, you know, now is the time. I see that you're like holding on to it. It wants to come out. You don't know how to do it. Now you with child, and she's trying to gauge her. It's those people that comes in your life that already know what's going on. They can look at it, they can tell what's going on, and they say the right things to burst it out. And it was Queen Hagar that did finally release that tension and emotional pain. So before this moment, okay, or before what's going on now, and this starting this part of the timeline of MOLIAE, it seemed like the Orions has been a thorn in Hagar's life and King Milan's life for a long time. I mean, they had some history of some crap on Tamat, okay? And it was Queen Mother Mana that was talking to her daughter and was saying to her, you must, this is what she said, I have the quote here, she said, you must speak to what you feel deep within. And when she said that, that's when Queen Hagar just kind of let it out, because she was so angry and so mad, and to help her healing. So that's where you get the title, the essence from the Nile. And if you break down with the Nile, which is water and it's powerful, and oh my gosh, the Nile has been in existence from antiquity. I mean, it's been in existence forever, and you have seen a lot of things, that river, right? And to be near the Nile while they were talking in the part of that palace gave it more emphasis of the ancient and the healing element of water, especially the Nile water, the Nile water that has been in the history books forever, okay? And to show her compassion to her daughter. So that's where you get, that's a good episode, because that can help you on another type of element in your life, even though we're talking about this story and these characters. So that's really the main takeaway of the strength of Queen Mother Mana to get deep in Queen Hagar, because see, as a queen, you have to hold this position in the sense that you got it, which she does, but over time, we're still human. And I talk about that. Humans, at the end of the day, need nourishment, need need emotional nourishment. And the reason that we go through the struggle is not getting that. And it's a balance to know when to deal with that emotional pain that comes up. And just to kind of jump on my other podcast, it was episode 8, why emotional pain comes up, asking for healing. That's what it does. So you need to check out that episode. It's on my other podcast, Surviving Your Journey Towards Success. Just type my name in the podcast directory and you'll find my other podcast and look for episode 8 and episode 9. But this, when I think about it, it just pleases my heart because it connects to this episode 22, because it is a good way to use the essence of water or near water to help you heal. And that's what Queen, her mother, would do. And then she got an insight. It's an insight that I shared too, that she basically was talking about the new in you. And when I say that in my writing in this short story, in this universe, I'm talking about being pregnant. A new birth is coming. And so she's helping you too. And so it kind of gave you an idea of the gender or what have you of Queen Hagar. And so that's a good episode. So that's basically the takeaway from that on my notes, that I wanted to kind of emphasize that it was in the Hanu room of Anum. So they're already around this spirituality and this higher level of knowledge and commune of she being with her mother helping her. And that's what two strong women should do. Not be unhelpful and uncaring, but caring to the process and not taking advantage if you know the other person is hurting, but you're doing it in a loving way and you're helping them. And when they fall down, as Queen Hagar in the scene, like she knelt down because it was so painful. She'd been through so much. She almost lost her true love. Now she with a new baby. You know, as the people that we have children, that's your heart there. And then you should have a daughter. And so all of that, and Queen Mother Manna was there. She was on the scene. That's what you have to think in life. You got to be on the scene and on the right point of time to be able to help the next phase. And that's what she was doing. She was nurturing. She was helping her mother. She was helping her daughter. All right. So let's move to the next episode, episode 23. It was published on April the 16th. It was entitled When a General is Born. This is one of my favorite episodes. You know why? Because a good friend of mine, his name is Reese, that worked with me on some theatrical productions, mainly a movie that I did, independent film. Mr. Du Bois, Dr. Du Bois. Anyway, but he's considered to be the general, and he read for him for this line that we did. He read for the lines for this episode, episode 23. This was in season 1, When a General is Born. And in that, he did a great job in reading the line. And that overall scene, I enjoyed it because when I wrote the book, Midtown, Comrade Tatar was already a general. So his background didn't come through, again, because of the big and the epic story going on surrounding Princess Amina and the two kings. But it just felt good writing that because I was able to find out more about him and his background and how he rose to such prestige status in the military of Mitzrayim so fast, where he was very skillful and he was very loyal. Okay, anybody that's in royalty, you want people that you can trust, okay, because of the power and the influence. And not just the wealth, but the power and the influence, because influence is power. Power is influence at the end of the day. And he was able to raise and get that credibility so young. And in this realm of time, of the timeline before the time of Princess Amina, that the podcast started, where Amina's not on the scene yet, and General is comrade, well, now he's a general. General Tatar pretty much was a comrade, but he was a very high comrade. It seemed like he has family. And I get into that later on, but pretty much at the end of the day, he had family in the military. And so he was able to get close to the royal family and show his loyalty and dedication. And he was very skillful. So in episode 2 or 3, probably both of them, but nonetheless, is when Comrade Tatar was the one that was walking the two out of the Grand Royal Settee room after meeting Queen Hagar to notice she's on the scene, she's the ruler. And it was Natu that made it notice that he was famous, or he was known for his skill across the land. So that means that he already proved himself of his military skill, of his ability to fight with the best of them, even though he wasn't even 20. Okay, right now he's pretty much about 16 or 17, something like that. Still young, but back then they had to get soldiers, so it made sense that he would be that young, and to be able to go through this part of his life to see his rise to stature, his rise to being famous, to being well known and respected. So this whole ceremony of when a general was born is when this big celebration, only for still from an elite few, where he has been notified that King Milan is well. King Milan will return to the fourth throne, and it was King Milan that came out and personally granted him the position of general. So it was a very good, I think, happy type episode, and it showed a part of history to show his coronation of being elevated, because by then you would know that during the war, what really saved him, it was Comrade Tata in the right place in the right time. I'm repeating this again, so this is a message for somebody. You got to be at the right place at the right time, so therefore you got to make the right choices to get to the place that you were meant to be a part of your purpose. Okay, I know that was deep, but like I said, these director clips, I be releasing some information. I'm telling you that I don't make public, that you get. So you get more than me talking about my notes and my review of my episodes. You get more that I'm giving you things that you probably wouldn't get to read when I do post things out on my social media platform. And also you get a lesson, because this is what that's what storytelling is. You're telling a message. You're influencing those that are willing to listen, to accept it, and hopefully that can use it. But he was at the right place. And so when that arrow, what have you, that weapon was gearing, aiming towards King Milan, it was Comrade Tata that took it. Okay, in a sense, that took it and protected King Milan, and King Milan didn't get severely done deal. He was able to eventually recruit for his rooms. They were still deep, but not as much. So that was a beautiful ceremony. He was very excited about. You got to go back and take a look at it. It was episode 23. Let's move on to episode 24. That was published on the 23rd, April the 23rd. It says, any day can be a supreme day. So on this one right here, April the 23rd, I'm going to get there. It's basically, we have talking about King Milan and Tahib. So Tahib is there now. Remember the previous episode, in episode 22, that's when they arrived on the scene, Tahib and his wife, Queen Mother Mana of Queen Hagar. So they arrived to see Queen Hagar and to see King Milan. So now you get Tahib talking to King Milan because he's getting better. Okay, and I love this episode where you have Tahib and Milan. They're sharing the wisdom that is very encouraging. So they're sharing the wisdom amongst themselves and amongst the move forward of how they can continue to see Mitzrayim as the mighty position of power that they are, what they can be. And I love the scene where you could show that they respect one another, son-in-law to father-in-law, father-in-law to son-in-law, and they're sharing this moment, and they're talking in ancient ways and sharing information. And I love this scene, and I just love the part where it says where King Milan speaks, because before there wasn't a lot of lines that King Milan was talking about, because of course he was in secret hiding, healing. This episode, you get to really hear King Milan speak in his wisdom and as a statue as king. And I love the respect that Tahib gave King Milan. Tahib got his own statue as being the elders of the mystics, of the mystery school of thought. Okay, and his history is going to be awesome when it comes through, and I need to focus on his background. But for right now, it's just seeing wonderful. That's a great episode 24, and it shows that no matter what position that you are, that's a takeaway in episode 24. Any day can be a supreme day. The title of that episode is because it shows that you can respect other people no matter their level of authority, right? It's the humanity of it. It's the respect. Respect is the joy and the mental peace and the no discomfort or disrespect. It's comfort, is nourishing. And that's the takeaway. And I love that scene when I say, and the king speaks, and he says something to Milan, to Tahib, in a way that's very encouraging and respectful and on point, by appreciating that we always learning about life, and we should be always a learner and learn from others and respect others' position. But not only that, but their right to respect and their right to what they earn, and that's what you can tell. He earned his stature and his knowledge and wisdom, and so has King Milan. And they were both two men, not boys trapped in a man body, but a man. And you can stand and you share in the knowledge and share in the community of communicating out of respect and forwardness, not backwardness, and learn from one another and share each other wisdom, and then be more supportive of one another. And that's what I got from that episode, and I hope that you did too. Let's get to the last episode 25. It was published on April the 30th. It was entitled Disagreement Among the Orions. I love this scene too. This particular episode is where Natu make it known. I have a secret, and I'm going to show you this secret, and this is going to change the power structure. Now, you got to give him credit. He was trying to tell Echo, look, you either with me or against me. If you're not, I'm taking you all down, because I'm finna be at the top. Because you got to know, with Natu and the little things you get to know about him, he liked to be in power, especially that episode in episode 2 or episode 3 of season 1, where Natu basically was talking to Jatar, like, so you this and that, but you young, but I'm older and I have a lot of more experience. Of course, Jatar got the final line. Yeah, you said something right. You're older, so using older ways. This is the new reign, okay? You got to get that episode and get that line, what Jatar said to now the general of Midtown said to Natu on episode 2 or 3. All right, so in this episode 25, a disagreement among the Orions, you get to understand and see how the confrontation was building up to lead to episode 29, the finale, where Echo basically received his fall. King Milan went in and took care of that, okay? All right, nipped it right in the bud in that sense. You don't know what's going on with Echo. But this time in this episode, it was a disagreement because Natu wanted to use what he found by one of his close contacts in the western part of the Sudan that we're calling Africa now, and that it seems that it's somebody high rank. I'm thinking, and you need to put it together in the sense that somebody was captured during the war, and this Western tribal leader, what have you, and confided to Natu about it. And so with that, Natu is showing the rest of the council members that's there on Tamat that we have upper hand with Midtown. We should use it. But Echo was against it because it could expose their whereabouts. It could expose other things that they're not ready to do in their phase to go back and to still obtain their star of Midtown, which today and right now you don't really know what that means, but you know it's something, and you know that has to do something with Milan because he's the ruler. Okay, he's the king of Midtown. And so in this episode, you find Natu and Lanko. Remember, this year in season 2, Lanko is the first character that come out. So that should already give you the impression, oh, Lanko is going to be on the scene. You're going to see a lot of Lanko, okay? And in season 2, I just came off of him, what I was feeding off him or feeling him was that Lanko do not like Natu. He don't like him, okay? Don't like he's ever gonna like him. He don't trust him, and it seems like he was right on the money because something seems in this episode, in these episodes this year, you could tell and understand that the high elders back on Orion pretty much know Natu is somewhat involved, and we need to find him and bring him here. So something gonna go down with that. And Lanko was designated to the position of power to go return Natu. So that's all that pretty much you kind of get from those two, that they're gonna be in at it. So the disagreement is that they didn't support Natu move to use whoever they have against Mitch Ram. It was the wrong time, and that's when Natu said, fine, I'm gonna go and move on. And that's what he did. He went and got some other supporters, and now here we are. Echo Echo was off the scene. So Echo was right that it could lead to more of them covering who they were and where they were and what's going on. And Natu, at that moment, the disagreement was it wasn't agreeing with Natu, and Natu was upset about that because he knew this could be the answer to get them there, and then he'll deal with the aftermath in their home place. He'll deal with that later. And so this agreement exposed where Nichel always wanted to go against Natu because he always felt that Natu was never to be trusted. And so in this episode, you really find the lines of support, and Echo supported Nichel. These are Orions. When I call them Orions, pretty much there I'm calling a different type of ethnicity, a different type of community of people that are entwined with the people on Tamat. And so later on you get to know more about, or if you read my book, you know what I'm talking about. But I like to break it up, since there's so much information, into these short stories so you can be able to get a feeling for it and get connected for it, and then release more levels of information as the story progresses. All right, so that's a good episode 2. It really showed Natu was determined to get his power back. So that's episode 25, published on April the 30th, entitled A Disagreement Among the Orions. So at that time last year, it was 3, Nichel, Echo, and Natu, that came consistently during season 1. Now we're in season 2. Echo, of course, from episode 29 was off the scene. King Milan, that's the finale episode when King Milan sealed that cave. So we don't hear nothing about Echo, and even his elders, Orion, want to know, okay, so Echo is off the scene, so what we going to do? And so now we have Nichel. So Nichel will be going forward more so in season 2. We're going to find out. And know what, I'm going to release this, I'm going to end this for my director's clip. In the book and in the episodes, I introduced the Orions, but they were different Orions. It was Garu, Hano, and it was Kishi. Okay, remember those 3 names, especially Kishi. Kishi came through in the book. Kishi was in the episodes. Kishi will be on the stage play, the Prestige Return of MOLIAE stage play. Now, right now, you got to take note. I have not mentioned none of them because remember, this is before the time of Princess Amina, so they're not on the scene yet. But as more and more I look at the 3, Echo, Natu, Nichel, in this podcast time frame of the universe of MOLIAE, I think Kishi or his link is going to come up soon. That's the takeaway. Is Nichel connected to Kishi? Was it Echo? Is it Natu? Who? So I'm giving you some clues because eventually that's going to be revealed, I believe, in this season 2. Because Kishi will be in the play because he was in the book. And that's where we get close to the kings. And again, the kings, King Dama, King Daniel, will of course be in the play because they are the heart of the book, and they're the time of Princess Amina when she's on the scene. So this is the beginning. This is it where you get to find out the backstory of Kishi and his 2 high officials and how they come to scene and come to the forefront when Princess Amina is on the scene. But we get to find out the background of leading up to it. And could it be Nichel that's going to lead to Kishi? Because remember, Kishi is an Orion. Okay, Garu is a lion, and it was a 3rd one too, right? And they was in the episodes, and this will give you that insight of preparation to find out. I think it's interesting how you put it all together. I hope you enjoyed my director's clip, and thank you so much for supporting MOLIAE. Please continue to follow it, share it if you like it, and please consider to join or to subscribe to our MOLIAE channel. Thank you.